Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, we're going to get back into a new decade. Okay, so I already did the top 30 OVAs, TV shows, and movies for the 1980s. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the 1990s. Okay, so I'll start from 1990 and work all the way up to 1999 and go through each and all these significant titles from every single year and then build a big top 30 countdown. So again, this is going to take me a while. It took me almost 14 episodes to do it for 1980, and this one probably will be a lot longer because there's now the new generation. Like my generation, started in the 80s, and of course we had to suffer through a lot of things. Like no translations and very hard distribution, with the VHS tapes and all that stuff. But now in the 1990s, the anime companies started kicking in. So now there's basically a source that a lot of people can get certain types of animes and that kind of stuff. Big boom in the new OAVAs and animes and movies that sort of came out. So a lot more titles we can deal with. So, it's going to be a little bit harder than the 80s just because of the sheer volume. But again, we'll go through it all and it'll make this list of the top 30 titles for you. So I want to remind people to go down below, click like and click subscribe. And if you want to make a comment, that's all. These are all good things that you can do to help support the channel and, to make the YouTube algorithm work properly, all right? If you want to support me financially, I do have the PayPal and the Patreon links down below. I've got some new episodes with my dabbling in working with some AI, and of course I've also begun talking about my trip to China in more detail and more personal aspects of it, because I can't post that kind of stuff on YouTube here. Workings of the 1990s and what animes will end up on our top 30. All right. So without further delay, let's begin.
Okay, so this is 1991, and we're starting with the first season, which is the winter season, and we go on to the TV shows. Okay, so there's not really a heck of a lot here. Trap Ika Montagari, which is kind of another one of these sort of based on a English thing. In this case, it's the Sound of Music. There's other ones like Anna Green Gables and there's like Tom Sawyer and all these other things. So there's another kind of TV series based on that. Nobody knows what the hell this is. I think the most significant one that is sort of on this line is the Tayo Yusha Firebird, right? Now this is another one of those, again, in that Yusha genre, so that this includes things like Jay Decker, anything that's part of the Brave series, right? So Gao Geiger and all this other stuff like that. So it's basically the essentially like Transformers slash with the kid, right? Type of show. And this is the newest rendition of it. Again, no one really knows what it is, and for the most part, no one really cares about anything in the Brave type series. Even though it has that likeness of, for example, like Transformers. But again, like I said, in the set, probably Gao Geiger and Jay Decker, has some sort of name to it. But again, most of the translations of this kind of thing came very, very late, and again, most people realized that and followed Transformers more than they would follow something like this one. So again, this is just Sunrise's way of trying to sell more toys, essentially, when there isn't a Transformers-like show going on. So again, no one knew really what this was either. So again, another relatively ignored series. Okay, so the next row is this one here, and again, there's not really a heck of a lot on this one as well. Again, the Get a Robo Go series, so I get another one of these giant robot with the kid shows. Again, they're going to continue releasing more of the stuff from Get a Robo and that kind of stuff. But again, we have a large number of those type of series, showing up at this particular time. Of course, things like Get a Robo, Giant Robo, Giant Gorg, and even a little bit of the Transformer series. But again, this is just the help the studios sell more toys, and so of course the Brave series is done by Bandai. This one is done by Toei, I think. Okay, and then we can scroll ahead, and yeah, okay, there's no more of the TV series that are new that come out, so we'll scroll ahead through all the continuing TV series. Now, this is important. Now, we're coming out of a time where there's lots of really good TV shows, right? There's like, right now they're still running Dragon Ball Z, Ranma 1/2. We got Nadia running still, Yabada still running. We even got like lesser type series like Samurai Pizza Cats, Zaya-san, really big popular show in Japan, of course. We've got Dragon Quest running, so the same guy that does Dragon Ball, okay, has also got another series running, which is Dragon Quest, very, very popular video game name, right? Also with Taru, which also had a video game based on it. And this is just the really big names. I mean, even smaller magical girl shows like Idol Yoko and Sweet Mint, running off of the Creamy Mami type of genre, is running. Two of them are both running during this time period. So again, this is really, really intense competition for TV shows. So so you can see why we don't have any more blockbusters coming up at this particular moment, because there's already lots of blockbusters already on the docket. Right? They got to wait until these shows end before releasing new stuff. And it's kind of hard because Dragon Ball Z and Ranma have over 100 episodes each. Right? So lots of time. They go. We've got to at least wait until like things like Yawada and Nadia and Samurai Pizza Cats, for example, end their run before we get some more new stuff coming in. Okay, so we start to the OAVAs, and right at the very top we have Bubblegum Crisis. Okay, so well, I've completed quite a few Bubblegum Crisis, but this is finally Volume 8 Scoop Chase. Okay, and that came out in January of this year, and so this is the last of the regular Bubblegum Crisis OAVA series. Very good, very recommended. This has been running ever since like 87, 88 or whatever it is, and they've slowly been able to pump out one one every little once in a while, to keep people interested. And definitely they've really caught a lot of people's attention with this series, and they will continue to make some sequels for it. So definitely that's something to look forward to further into the 90s here. The next one is Burn Up. Now, I really liked this one when I first saw it. Again, just I got the lasers for it, and I remember I did up the subtitles for that thing. I just thought it was really kind of a neat sort of girls kick ass with guns type of show. Very Dirty Pair-esque ish type of plot story thing, with mixing that sort of 80 police kind of. Police SWAT flavor to it, but with a female angle, right? So, very good. And again, they will make more sequels for this one because of its popularity. So that definitely very good. Next one is Psychic Wars. Okay, this is pretty well much one of those titles that Central Park Media decided to grab off the garbage pile of hot mess. Just because it was cheap and nobody wanted it. Significantly enough, it is made by the character design is the guy who does Fist of the North Star and Sakigaro Tsujuko, so that's what looks familiar. But I don't like the art style, especially when you look at the female characters. I never really thought things like. The characters, well, obviously things like Fist North Star and Sekiro doesn't have good female characters, so you can expect that this show is much the same. Again, weird sort of gore and weird aliens and demons and that kind of stuff, and they have to go back and fight other demon guys, and it's like, okay, whatever. This is like pretty messed up, and throw in a little bit of XX in there, and there we go. We just try to push that envelope, and again, it's in that same kind of trashiness as like things like Demon City Shinjuku and Wicked City and that kind of. Let's see how much we can get away with absolutely no plot and see what happens, right? And that's sort of where that one kind of lies. Okay, so continuing along, we have the Gundam World. Okay. Or the Chibi Gundam World. So again, this is the with all the other stuff that's going, Super Deformed, Super Deformed Gundam, Golf Force, Bowman Crisis, and all this other stuff. They figured, okay, why not, join the bandwagon. Okay, so here we go. We got a bunch of Go to Guy type shows, right? So that's the Mazingers and the Devilmans and all that other stuff. And let's make them fall into this weird world. And there we go. Now they're all super deformed and goofing around and doing jokes and inside stabs at each other and whatever. It's like, again, if you like that kind of stuff, great. Again, nobody cared about it, so it just sort of because it's just although Mazinger Z and even things like Devilman were probably somewhat on the forefront. People just didn't really get into it enough that to really like the super deformed kind of stuff as much. So it was probably a little bit hard to swallow, and again, that's probably why a lot of people sort of ignored it. The next one was Wizardry. Now, this one was really significant for me, anyway, especially for people growing up in this era. Wizardry was one of the biggest games that Surtec made out for the Apple. Okay, and coincidentally enough, Surtec is also owned by Robert Woodhead, along with Andrew Greenwood. And of course, Robert Woodhead, of course, is the head of MyAnimeList. And of course, later on in this year, in 1992, he will use MyAnimeList and start releasing anime in North America with subtitles. So it's interesting that here he is, one of his games that he from the Apple era, in the 80s, finally now reaches an anime. And this is actually not okay. Doesn't have the animation quality as something as a record of Lotus Wars and that kind of stuff, but in terms of being realistic to an RPG and being realistic to the game of Wizardry, all the same kind of concepts of going through the dungeons and the classes, making references to things like the Temple of Chant and whatnot. It's very good. Okay, again, it's reasonable anime. Character design, and it was sort of a nice, good one-shotter. But it's just for someone who grew up in that era and was really into RPG games, that kind of stuff. I mean, I even wrote like a character editing program for Wizardry and everything like that, so I could fix up my characters and that kind of stuff. But it was really cool that it did that. It had the same kind of spells. Level 10 of the dungeons and that kind of stuff. It's all really very similar to the game, and that's why I think a lot of people can really gravitate toward that one. So again, if you're into if you're in from that era and you're into those type of RPG dungeon crawlers, this is your sort of thing. Okay. And the last one on this line is called Madeira. Now, this one is another one of these RPG type of games things. Went to a anime. Okay. Now, again, no one really cared about the anime for this particular time. No one really followed it. The manga was sort of, significant in Dragon Magazine. And again, Dragon Magazine, of course, at this time was more heavily tilted towards RPG games and that kind of stuff. In terms of significance-wise, I think the only thing that the Mandro was really kind of more significant for, especially in RPGs at this time, because at this time you only had like things like Final Fantasy, and you maybe had like Dragon Quest type of thing, was that it had a battle system that allowed you to move on the battlefield, as opposed to just you meet a monster and you just take turns, beating each other. Okay, so this one actually used battlefield strategies where you get to move around, and there are certain phases where you can't actually attack the other person because you're not next to them and things like that. So it was rather a different dynamic on the gaming system for that particular thing. But again, this is sort of the anime that came out for it, and it was kind of neat. But again, no one knew what it was at the time. All right, next line we have the Samurai Troopers, a message OVA. So again, after the very popular series of Samurai Troopers, they decided, okay, we're going to make a OVA thing for it. So again, more episodes. And again, the VAs on this particular thing, because they're part of that group that they made called the NEG 5. was really, really popular. So this this anime became really, really, really popular with the female population, and so this one did really pretty well actually. And again, it was actually pretty good. Now, it was going against Saint Seiya. And again, of course, Saint Seiya being much more popular, much more widely accepted. Just probably because of the fact that it dealt with other countries and other mythological type of characters, that kind of stuff. Where this one, stayed strictly with the Japanese, profile. So that's probably that's why the other, things like Saint Seiya did way better. I would argue that even things like Heaven War Shurato would probably do better than this kind of thing, just because it is a different kind of, ethnic mythology. Definitely, it is something that is worth checking out. Next one is Lunar Vulgar. Now, again, this is another one of these, variations of girl with mixed beast sort of thing. Again, A Division did really well with this one. Again, this is one of the first titles that they ended up releasing, along things with Devil Hunter Yoko and all that kind of stuff. And it's for a small shot sort of series. It was pretty good. The artwork was really nice on it, and for a few short stories, right, it was an enjoyable watch, right? You got to think that we come from an age where we've got some OVAs where we had like cat girls, like Annie and Puma from like Dominion Tank Police, and then you've got Cat Girl Nuku Nuku sort of coming out, and you have like things like Dragon Pink, and now why not mix a kind of dragon girl, like something of that kind of thing together? Why not, right? So and of course we always have things like vampires and if you think of things like Darkstalkers, we already have again another cat girl, and so this is just another sort of evolution of let's see what else we can mix and make it into an OVA of some sort. For a short series, it's an enjoyable watch, and the artwork was actually pretty good on it too as well. So that really helped out. Other than that, let's see, we're going to keep on going here. Okay, so the next one here is one called Dragon Fist. Now, I remember, again, Arctic did the fan subs for this one as well back in the day. And it's a one-shotter, and a pretty short OVA. The reason I got sort of interested in it is because of the character designer and how the manga was drawn and everything. So I thought it was it might have had some potential. The anime the designer for this thing is pretty famous, so they got a pretty big name on it. His name is Shingo Araki. He does a lot of stuff. I mean, he's listed as character designer for big huge shows like Legend of Galactic Heroes. He does a little bit of Saint Seiya. Probably one of the biggest things that he does is things like Galaxy 999 and Yu-Gi-Oh, and also things like Grandizer, Vanguard Ace. A lot of those classic sort of big giant robot shows. So he's really big. Unfortunately, this OVA is a real rushed version of trying to get something for a manga title, right? And so as a result, it's like really kind of a mess thrown together. Not really well animated, fairly well drawn though, but just not really well animated. But otherwise, yeah, it's one of those type of things that I remember we just did, and it was all right. Probably pretty forgettable in that sort of thing. It's one of those type of things you just throw on the end of a tape kind of idea. But yeah, definitely, I remember doing that one. Next one on the list is Ariel. Now I know my translator Daisuke just absolutely loved this story, and so he really kind of like Greenwood and like a lot of the titles that he actually recommended and we did, just because of the fact that he was really interested in it. But yeah, the whole entire concept of the mad scientist designing a giant robot in the likeness of his wife that has passed, right? And they figured, okay, well, the only people that will that will pilot this thing would be his grandkids or his children, right? So this is kind of a wacky thing, and there's a whole comic that came out of Cyber Comics that that dealt with this kind of story. They made an old entire audiobook that came with this thing. And it was a really good, interesting concept, right? It's just unfortunate they didn't make enough of this. They only just made the two OVAs for this, which was too bad. They probably could have did a lot more with it. But yes, it was a nice, fun story. And again, you'll find this exact same trope used in Nurse Nanako later on when Pioneer gets his head on it. So again, it's a popular theme. So definitely, it was kind of fun to work with when Daisuke got that one translated. Okay, and the last one on this line is the Makyu Senju, and they brought this one over under the name Dark Warrior. Now this one again, it's probably like Dragon Fist. Okay, it actually has a fairly decent name guy on it. The character designer is Kenichi Uyuki. Okay, now he has made some pretty kind of mediocre OVAs, just like this one, a pretty mediocre OVA. Things like Tegami, Psychic Force, Tokyo Vice, just things that are like one, couple shotter and not really that great. This is another one of those examples of let's just get some guy with ESP powers, just making a mess and trying to put as much gore as we can get into it. I mean, if they threw in a little bit more X into it, then it'll just be the same as all the other Wicked Cities and that kind of profile of type of show. Okay, unfortunately, it didn't do that, so it's not. It basically collapses to basically just your random violent garbage essentially without a plot. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, the character designer, did do some, other famous stuff later on. He did, he is also credited for doing things like the character design for Dragonar, Gundam Build Fighters. He does a little bit of Earthian. Again, it was, I really like the manga from Yun Koga, so that's really good. And he also has one of my favorite sort of high school hentais called Tenkosei. Which is really kind of, I actually really like that series, and so yeah, he's responsible for the character design for that one. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you can almost lump it into that same category with Dragon Fist, where it has some decent names on it. They just didn't do anything with the story, and they just kind of threw this OVA together, and yeah, so kind of a disappointing result for it. So again, if you want to, if you have nothing better to do, you might want to have a look at this one. On the next line here, we have the next sequel for the Bebop High School, except now these guys are not in high school anymore. They're now like businessmen or whatever you want to call it. So they made up a little short 3-part sort of series for that continuation story. Now again, in North America, we don't care because no one cared about the first series anyway. So this is more episodes of a series that no one really followed. Now I get it. Later on, they made a live action, and there's more translations of the series as it goes on. But again, at the time this came out, nobody had interest in it over here. Okay, so we're just going to continue on with the OVAs here, and there is no other significant OVAs that we need to be concerned about, so we'll just go ahead over to the movies now. Now, we got some pretty good blockbuster movies coming up here. Let's see, we have the 4th Dragon Ball Z movie, which is Lord Slug, and again, more of that, because Dragon Ball Z is a really big thing as a TV show right now, so again, they're releasing lots of movies in the theaters to promote the TV series, so that's a continuing type of thing. See, the next one here is the Mobile Suit Gundam F91 movie. So again, Char's Counterattack was a really big show, at that time, musically as well as as a movie, because it was needed to finalize the Zeta Gundam type story. So now here we have Gundam F91. Again, really nice sort of art design. The music, of course, debuts another song for Hiroko Moriguchi. Her career was already brought up from doing the Zeta Gundam song. So and again, I've made an episode where I've talked about her being labeled as the Gundam girl. whenever she needs her career to have a boost, it's always been the Gundam franchise that brings her back. So again, as I said, really nice movie, and the art was really nice on that one. Okay, the main big reason that you'd want to watch this one is, again, the character designer is Yaz. Okay, Yoshiko Yasuhiko, the same guy who does Venus Wars, Arion, Crusher Joe, and all those good titles like that, right? Giant Gorg. So they teamed up to make this movies, high quality animation, good character design, a nice sort of storyline that all self-contained in the movie, right? So which is really good. So they left it so that you can't really do lots of like sequels and that kind of stuff, all that. So, but what's in the movie is self-contained, and that's what's also really nice about it too. So you just get it as one nice sort of package. And again, at this time, the Gundam movies were really, really good, and good production values on them. And on the last row of movies, we have the Musha Gundam, ST Gundam Scramble. So now we've already sort of gone through the entire cycle of having a whole bunch of different Gundam parody, mini super deformed guys, right? From the first, second, and third Gundam movies, they've done the Charge Counterattack movie. Now they're doing sort of a Musha. Let's take Gundams and put them into the medieval Japanese armor and that kind of stuff, and make a sort of funny Musha Gundam story. Okay, and we'll finish off the rest of the movies, and yeah, so nothing else left in the movies. So that basically wraps up the first season in the 1991. It took me a lot longer as usual, and again, just because of a lot of the OVAs and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so now I've also recently redone the database sheet as an Excel sheet, and now I've made that available in the YouTube channel directory. Okay, so again, the link is below, where we have the database of all the episodes, as well as all your subscriber and Patreon episodes. So again, now we have the trading instructions for media trades, and as well as now I'm going to put the episode listing there with the new tables and the new graphs, now encompassing 1980 as well as now 1990s. Okay, so again, link is below. Do check that out.
All right, hope you found that really interesting. And again, we'll help you getting into more episodes as we go through the whole entire decade of the 1990s. All right, so until next time, I will see you again.